It's been a minute. We have not had a time in a very good while. So I'm so grateful. Yes, I have been absolutely busy, working on dissertations, being on dissertation hiatuses, having more meetings about dissertation. I'm in the home stretch of the dissertation, and everybody's like, how are you doing your show and still doing a dissertation? It's, yeah, after a while you get tired of saying the D word. It's like, oh my gosh, you feel like you're using profanity. But it's so wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm so excited to be back. We're going to kick off the show and stuff like that on Tuesdays, and we will kick back on Thursdays when we approach fall. So as of course we move into a new season, just get prepared. Some things are going to be adjusting, but this is the time for us to just kind of keep it real, keep it raw. Tell it like it is. Where am I right now? I'm in Atlanta. And out here trying to have a little restful moment, but not really necessarily full of rest, because I still have to work on the D word, the D word. But we know what we're talking about, right? And so one of the things that I just want to really just say how grateful I am for everyone's support during this time. And it has really been nice to just kind of, finally almost be in the process of being finished. So I thought to myself, as I've been talking to my team and we've been sitting together, like, what was next, and I was like, I really just miss, connecting. I can have a lot of guests on here, but I mean, I'll be transparent with you. I love spending time with y'all, and I love spending time with what's happening in our climate right now. It's Pride Month, so yes, shout out to my queer possibility family. Yes, queer possibilities. Like, we make a lot of things turn around. Listening to people like Billy Porter speaking about being HIV positive, taking back, in many ways reclaiming spirituality and the practice of it for queer folk, which many who value spirituality and spiritual practice or religious formations are, trust me, it is needed here, and I think in many ways, this show, this moment together is so, is in many ways for some people also a bit of a spiritual practice, a moment to kind of gather themselves together. It is for me. I know that's why I miss y'all. It definitely, Lena, happy Pride to you as well. And so, we've got that going on. We've been listening to, of course, what's been going on in Israel and Palestine, and we've been facing more issues around race, and it just seems that there's so many things to possibly talk about. And there's so many places that we could possibly go and visit. One of the things that I want to just offer us today is simply remaining authentic to ourselves, grounding ourselves, centering ourselves, whatever that looks like. Some of us are on our vacations. Some of us are planning them because we have given everybody else our time, our energy, our capacity. And, I think one of the most important things about authenticity, as I have always visited, it is deeply about having a relationship with self. And that relationship with self is not rooted in selfishness. If anything, it is rooted more so in understanding how to be in right relationship with yourself shows you how to be in right relationship with others, right? Being in right relationship with yourself reveals to you how you can be in right relationship with others. It is because of the need to constantly honor the experience that you are having. It is because you decide to really, in many ways, do a check and balance, or like I say, a kind of body body graph, knowing where areas are, where are you tired? Where are you hurting? Where are you, we don't get a chance to do that. And so in many ways, it's a moment to really look at where you are within your own relationship. I mean, as we think about Pride Month, this whole entire month is about relationship, not just relationship with sexuality or sexual expression, but also relationality between you and someone else significant. And so I think that's one of the things that for me, I remember I remember when I was, I just come from seminary. After my first semester, I finished studying queer liberation. Yes, queer liberation, it's a real thing. Queer liberation theology. I would finish reading Patrick Chan. I'd finish, and I'd never, for years, never had a theology on how to affirm myself as a queer person. I never had a language other than what was biblically constructed for me. And, that being queer or being gay or being same gender loving and thinking outside of a spectrum of binaries was anything other than demonic or anything other than not socially respectable. Socially respectable. Demonic. So to think outside of that, for me, in many ways, to always think outside of that became a challenge when I got into seminary and I was able to figure out ways to, in many ways, renegotiate the social respectability, the and change in many ways these demonic authorities into heavenly authorities for those who need it. I found a way to make sure that I, just in the words of Billy Porter, found ways to reclaim my spirituality, my spiritual dignity, the way in which I was situated and grounded myself and became more authentic with myself. A lot of us don't get a chance to do that. I run into a lot of my queer siblings who actually prefer not to engage religious formation or spiritual formation because of the harm that was done. I experience a lot of folk who are not interested and maybe even, trying to step outside of that because they in many ways are experiencing internalized homophobia, and they are reminded all the time that they'll keep going to, their spiritual sanctuary, and they will sit in a place where they are like, I'd rather be in my sanctuary and I'd rather be in my religious formation, even if I'm going to go to hell. And I just want to, in this space, let you know that whether you are in the space where it's like, I don't need the context of religion to affirm who I am, or I want to sit in this spiritual space, even if it costs me an idea around my life as eternity. Here, I wish you freedom. I wish you freedom. With your pride, I wish you freedom. The agency to reclaim your narrative, no matter where you rest, no matter what it looks like. For someone who had just finished reading Patrick Chin, for someone who had just finished reading Liberation in the Sheets, for someone who had read ethical non-monogamy books and multiple, ethical slut, you name it. I've read it all when it comes down to this. And I still keep reading and I keep evolving. Something about queer possibility is very, very powerful. It's the moment where you become courageously ignited to fall in love with yourself and invite others to love you because you have fallen in love with yourself. You invite others to love you because you have fallen in love with yourself. It is the most powerful, significant thing to do. It is that in many ways, I really have to say, when we think about Montero, when we think about all of, if for those who have not watched Pose in their final season as they conclude, please do. Not just because of the history, but it is beautiful to see that in many ways the envelope of our social cultural norms are being pushed, and they are not being pushed in ways that are necessarily troubling, but they are being pushed and challenged in ways that will hopefully offer us a new view of living in a full ethical capacity. I don't think we know our full ethical capacity. I don't think we do. And I've sat with that many times because I have to ask myself that question: what is my actual ethical capacity? And how can I, for me, as a queer person who works as clergy and ethical clergy, how do I in many ways queer my ethic so that it becomes expansive? That my spirit becomes like Stonewall, that wants to first be the first one to throw the brick when everybody else is against it. Have you ever just wanted to pick up the brick and throw it? Be like Marsha P. Johnson and throw the brick that breaks into a whole new arena of battle, that tells everyone else that's surrounding and just watching to stop watching and get activated. Have you ever wanted to just throw the brick? Some of us are already throwing bricks, and we've been throwing them, and we keep throwing them in hopes, not that somebody actually just feels disturbed, but maybe in many ways some other people will grab bricks with you and begin not only to just, use those bricks to disturb the peace, but in many ways find ways to use those bricks to start building new ideas, to start building new possibilities, to start building new capacities and capacities. And I think of capacities as houses, building homes for folk that you would never have suspected to ever be in the circle, in the location, in the spaces of your heart and in your mind and in your ethic and in your policies and in your morals, because all of a sudden you're throwing bricks and people are throwing bricks at each other to the point that you have to start building. We're building. We are building, if I may, in the throwing of a brick, we're building upon the possibility. Some of us, we've got to teach our children how to throw bricks for their friends. Because why? Because of racism, sexism, and do it in a way where people have to actually deal with the fact that they have to start building with the bricks that you're throwing. You're giving them a work to do. You're giving them labor. I get it's metaphorical. You're like, what? Oh, come on. What are you talking? It's doing that kind of building capacity. It's that kind of ethical capacity that makes us better human beings. You only grab bricks when you know that you've got a good foundation. You caught that. It's the reason why you need to have a foundation that is authentic. And it's not filled with cracks of despair. That you're doing the therapeutic work or meeting with someone to counsel you to heal some of the foundational areas that have been challenged. When my foundation had to be repaved again before I could really step into my queer possibility. My foundation was completely, in many ways, I thought it was solid, but there were cracks in it that still weren't filled. Because I had had enough religious formula, but I didn't have enough. In many ways, I didn't see myself as a site of spiritual act. I didn't see myself as a spiritual act, as someone worth. Wow, that's what I'm talking. Let's use that word there, right? Worth as an act of spirituality. Integrity as an act of spirituality. And so the foundation had to required for me to be to pave the foundation again, to look at the structure again, and then look at all the things I was reading to figure out what was my ethical queer possibility. What was it? What was holding me together? What was holding me together? Beyond fancy text that I was reading, beyond maybe getting together with other people in congregational spaces. What was it? My bricks have always been rooted. Any brick that I throw is always about reimagining. Because the reimagining allows for the possibility to take place. If you had a brick, if you were going to throw one, what would be the brick that you would throw that would build on the possibility? What would it be? What would be the name of that brick? What would be the name of that brick? What would be inscribed on it if you had to throw it? If you could throw, some might throw love. You know, James Baldwin reminds us, as I conclude, I think of something very, very powerful. I'm gonna quote it from my phone because I want to make sure the quote is right. I hope y'all don't mind. I think we can both enjoy it. We as either non-theistic and theistic people can enjoy this. James Baldwin, um, beautiful critical thinker and free thought, um, as well, says, if the concept of God has any validity or any use, it can only be to make us larger, freer, and more loving. If God cannot do this, then it is time to get rid of them. It is time to get rid of them. Choose your bricks wisely, especially during pride. Know what brick you want to throw. Just keep in mind, allow for it to have the possibility to make you larger, freer, and more loving than what you ever imagined. And when you throw it at someone, they're going to go through the same process of being larger, freer, and more loving than they could ever imagine. Y'all have a wonderful night. Love yourself in the process. Justice, my love, let's kick this music. All the days of your life.